Well, we've heard a whisper offshore out of one of our local reefs that the Spanish mackerel are on, and what do you know? We've got a couple of nice fish already. I'm going to show you how we go about filleting these things. So the first thing we needed to do was look after this fish when we got it on board. We bled it straight away, we got it straight on ice in the kill tank, and once we got back to the boat ramp, we got it straight in the chiller bag, plenty of ice covering the fish so it's nice and cold. The meat's going to be nice and firm, and once we knock these fillets off, they're going to be perfect for the dinner plate. So I'm going to be using one of the SWIBO range, the 16 centimetre curved blade. This one is really nice and comfortable in the hand, super sharp, and also it's got a nice stiff blade, so when I'm going through those bones, it's going to run through there nice and smooth. So the first incision that I'm going to make is right behind the pectoral fin. So I'm just going to cut in behind there, and there's a line that you can follow right up to the back of the head there. Once I've made that first incision, I'm just going to turn the blade of the knife and run that right along the top fins, and you'll be able to feel the backbone as you go along. You want that blade running right along the edge of the backbone. One of the things you want to make sure you do is store your knives well. Make sure they're nice and clean and they're always kept sharp. So once I've done that, I'm going to lift the fillet up a little bit so I know what I'm filleting, and I'm going to run my knife right along that middle bone and just keep knocking along the middle bone. You'll feel the rib bones as the blade's going through, they'll crack those rib bones. So once I've started cracking those backbones and run it all the way down to near the tail, I'm going to spin the fish around. This is quite a large mackerel, so I want to try and get as much of the meat as possible. I'm going to start to fillet on the other side, running the knife along so you're hitting the middle of that backbone. So I've nearly finished one side of this fish, and as I'm going along, I'm giving the blade a quick wash in salt water. I don't want any fresh water going on this fish whatsoever. So there we go. Nice fillet. Hardly any meat left on that side. And anything I have got, I'm going to give to the kids to use for bait. So once I've flipped it over, I'm going to make the same incision behind the pectoral fin, up towards the back of the head, turn the blade of the knife, and run it down along the backbone, right down to the tail. That knife is super sharp. It's the only way you want it. As you're filleting along, you're always guided by the backbone of the fish. And that'll mean you're maximising as much meat as you can, as well as keeping it as safe as you can. So I have left a little bit of meat on the backbone here, which sometimes will happen, but all I do with that is I'll run the knife along the backbone, and some of these little parts are absolutely magic for sashimi. I'll cut them up in small bits, a little bit of soy sauce, wasabi, beautiful. But these Spanish mackerel, they don't release real well. We're only feeding 2 families, so there's going to be a stack of fillet here that are going to feed 2 families well and truly. This fish has been filleted nicely. There's hardly any meat left on it, and any of that meat that's left over, I'm going to give to my young fella to go out and catch himself a couple of bream. So I'm about to prepare these fillets, and what I've done is gone and washed the cutting boards down. So I want to make sure that there's no fresh water whatsoever on the flesh of these fish. So what I'm going to do now, there's a main bloodline that runs right down the middle of the fish, and you'll feel there's a whole lot of bones right down the middle as well. No one likes to eat an actual bloodline of the fish. So all I do is run the knife either side of that bloodline. You'll feel the blade run along the edge of the bones, and it'll split the fillet right in half. And you know, you might think that's a waste of fish. But right down the middle of there is a big fat bloodline that we don't want to use or eat as we're going along. I'm not going to waste this though. It's going to be bait as well. It's one of the best brim baits you'll ever get. And if you don't want to use it as bait, you can throw it in the crab pot and turn it into a couple of nice mud crabs. What I'm going to do now is turn these fillets into the perfect size portions for their family. That way you can bag them up into Ziploc bags, keep them nice and fresh, and only take out what you need at any one time. So once I've cut this fillet up, I'm going to put enough fish in there to feed the family one portion at a time. Once these fish are bagged up, we've got a cooler there ready to go, filled with ice. We're going to get them straight on the ice to maximise the quality of these fish. So Victorinox have been around for 130 years. They've got a rich history. I can still remember my old man using a knife just like this. I'm going to be using it for a long, long time, and I'm sure my young fella will. These guys have got a lifetime warranty on it. They're very, very good quality, and in my opinion, you won't find a better knife.